Hey guys, Haz here at Shield K9. Today we are going to be doing a Haz responding to the YouTube comments video. Now, I know you guys enjoy this, and let's be realistic, you guys like it when I respond to the negative comments. But it doesn't mean I don't value the positive comments, which are certainly far in excess of the negative ones. But let's face it, the negative ones are more interesting for me to respond to. But if I do see something that's not negative but interesting, I will answer it. So guys, let's start going through the comments. If you ever want to know like what video the comment is on the right side of my dashboard, you guys are going to see right where my cursor is. The specific comment I'm responding, well, the specific video that the comment that I'm responding to is on. So anyways, let's go down. All right, so here's the first question. How do you set up an e-collar? All right, this was from Rohan Anderson, and this is on my dog knows when the electric collar's on. Rohan, here's why I hate your question. I hate your question because it shows an astounding sense of entitlement and an astounding presence of laziness. Because I have a video on this. I have multiple videos on how to use an e-collar, how to train with an e-collar, what not to do with an e-collar, and how to set up an e-collar. And all you had to do was spend probably the same amount of time you putting in that comment just searching through my content, and you would have seen that, right? But you just put it on there and assumed I would respond. I generally don't respond to any YouTube comments. I mean, you happen to get caught in this video, but stop, man. Like this is, if you're this lazy, you should not be using an e-collar. I'm going to tell you that. You're doing your dog no favor. All right. So this is from Len Zelensky. I call BS. My Caucasian Ovcharka is a shelter rescue, and she's a dog park dog. Doesn't really care about other people, but is fine with anyone that comes up because it's not her territory. Just don't come up to her door and expect friendly greeting. This is normal behavior for these dogs. I don't know what's BS. I mean, my video, my new Caucasian Ovcharka, this is the first video I had with Kevin. Check it out if you haven't checked it out. It's entertaining to say the least and educational. This video shows you exactly what happened. There's no BS involved in the video. It is what it is. Now, your dog probably hates being in the dog park, but is quite nice enough that they don't lash out, right? I generally do not recommend dog parks at all. I don't think they're productive places from a training or socialization perspective. But guess what? We talk in these things when we're communicating to the public on YouTube. We talk in this wonderful thing called generalities because not everybody's you. I don't talk about exceptions to the rule. I don't talk generally about Labrador retrievers that are extremely aggressive. Have I run into them? Yes. Have I trained them? Yes. But most of the labs that you deal with are actually very social, nice family dogs, right? So am I going to say Labrador Retriever? When someone says a Labrador Retriever is a good social family dog, would I say, I call BS because I met one Labrador Retriever that wasn't? No, because I'm not an idiot. I wouldn't do something like that. I would understand that they're speaking in generalities, and I would have, the common sense to, communicate on that level. Have I run into social Caucasian Ovcharkas? Yes, I've actually trained one. We had a female Caucasian Ovcharka come in that was quite social. Also, shelter rescues tend not to be purebred. So high likelihood you don't have a purebred Caucasian Ovcharka, but maybe you do. Either way, it doesn't take away from what I showed in the video. All real, all happened. Okay, so this one, I'll read this comment here. So this one was on my taking Kevin into town video, right? This is from Roy Kilgore. A bunch of numbers. In the video, you don't give him a drop of water, and the breed needs that in the heat you walk with him on the street. I don't know what the syntax on that sentence was. Was it part of your plan to reduce his physical and mental activity among strangers on the public street? If not, why does he get nothing to drink, which he clearly needs with that long, thick fur and his physical size in the heat? Question mark, question mark. Roy Kilgore, or whatever your name is, I hope I replicated your voice as much. I tried to put as much indignation as I could into it. I probably couldn't sound as much like a wuss as you sound, and for which I apologize. I'll have to work more on that. But in short, answer your question, I don't give him a drop of water because he's not a killer whale. He can walk around for half an hour on a hot day without falling apart and needing a drink of water in order to continue to survive. In fact, when I got him back to the van, right, where I do have water, he didn't need any water. He was just fine, right? He was panting because that's what dogs do to dissipate heat. It's fine. Have you ever been hot, Roy? Have you ever gone out in the heat? Guess what? I think a lot of people were making comments about how hot it is and how it's bad and blah, blah, blah. Listen, I go out in the heat every day. I'm outside every day, in case you can't tell by, my skin, right? I'm outside every day. My dogs are outside every day. I don't have problems with dogs collapsing due to heat exhaustion of any breed. Dogs aren't pussies. So just because you are doesn't mean you should project that onto a dog. And I find a lot of people do that, right? These dogs are rugged dogs. They're meant to be outside. And yes, it gets really hot where they are too. It gets really cold, it gets really hot, right? This idea that it's always cold all the time and they're like polar bears is asinine. It's not true, right? Here's the thing about dogs that have thick coats. A lot of people think the thick coat makes the dog intolerable, like the dog can't tolerate being in a high heat environment. They actually can. A thick coat is an insulator. It insulates them against both the cold and the heat. A lot of people think, oh, the dog has a thick coat, let's shave it off because it's hot out. That actually doesn't make a dog, that actually messes up the dog's temperature regulation system. That's why you'll see a lot of research out there and advice saying do not shave double-coated dogs, right? Just because you think of their coat as a winter coat, it's not just a winter coat, it's a summer coat as well. So rest assured, Kevin was A-okay. All right. So don't worry. I kind of know what I've been doing. Been doing this for a while, and me and Kevin are doing just fine. All right. Next one. Let's see. Let's see how he is with livestock. Well, you can see how he is with my horses, which are livestock, in a couple of videos. Does he have hip dysplasia? Looking at his rear left leg when he walks, it looks really bad. That's from Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse, you cannot visually diagnose hip dysplasia. If I diagnosed hip dysplasia visually, I'd be wrong 100% of the time. I'm going to tell you this, guys. I actually have x-rayed many dogs, okay, because it's in my best interest to find out if they have any hip or elbow issues or anything like that. And there have been a few dogs that I've sent for x-rays that I was sure there was something wrong because they walked so funny that, they looked so uncomfortable, and there wasn't ever any of the dogs I thought for sure there was something wrong. There wasn't anything wrong. And some of the dogs that I thought were perfect were the ones that had some x-rays that were not so ideal, right? And I learned it doesn't matter how wonky a dog walks, you do not diagnose hip dysplasia visually, especially when you're looking at a large breed dog that isn't fully grown yet. Because mostly what you see in those dogs is something we call panasitis. And panasitis is inflammation of the bone, which is caused by growth, fast growth. So with the young dogs, with the German Shepherds, with the young large breed dogs, I should say, German Shepherds, Caucasian Ovcharkas, which are giant breeds, you will often see panasitis, where the dog is often on limping, moves stiffly, basically looks like there's something wrong. And really, it's not that there's something wrong. It's just that, hold on. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So it's not that there's something wrong. It's just that they have this panasitis. They're growing. They're awkward. They're puppies. So stop trying to diagnose hip issues visually. You know how many people told me Gage has hip and elbow issues? Gage has perfect hips, perfect elbows, right? But they're looking at a puppy on the internet and trying to x-ray vision the puppy and say he's got a hip issue, which he doesn't, right? And they've done this with many dogs I post. All right. So somebody put just will say off leash not cool, gorgeous dog but not off leash. Why? Because you can't do it? Because you don't have the ability to look at a dog and discern whether his mental state and the level of his obedience is sufficient enough to allow him to be off leash? You think that's the first dog I've had off leash? What do you think I do for a living? Look me up a little bit before you tell me what you think is not cool and cool. I'll decide for myself. I've been doing this a long time. I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm kind of an expert, right? So yes, you might not be able to do it. It might not be cool for you. right? Don't worry. Take my online course, the Elite Off-Leash Obedience course. You too can have an off-leash dog, right? But right now, off-leash is not cool for you. Don't project your limitations on me, right? So that's what I always say to those types of stuff. Those types of remarks. It's probably well taken care of, but seriously, I think it's kind of cruel to have that dog in a hot climate. It deserves to live its life outside in more cold weather, like it was bred for originally. Yeah, like a ton of comments like this, guys. As I said before, guess what, guys? These dogs don't live in the Arctic, even though they could. They can actually live in hot weather. I wouldn't recommend them for like a tropical environment, but in most places where it gets very cold, it also does get very hot. And they can surely handle that. And don't worry, Kevin's self-regulating. You notice he wasn't moving very fast. You notice he wasn't like crazy active or doing anything high intensity, and nor was I asking him to, right? Like the dog's okay. Don't worry. All right. Lillianne Phillips says this about the pocket bully carjacking prevention video. That video went viral on Instagram. That video went viral on YouTube. I took this cute little pocket bully that a gentleman brought me because he wanted her to be protection trained. And this bully, extremely social dog, right? Cute little pocket bully, very social. The guy just like taking her to like hospitals and like doing like the therapy dog thing with her and all that stuff. And he's like, hey, like I just want this dog to protect my daughter if something happens and so on and so forth. I said, no problem. I said, so I took the dog through a little bit of protection training. Not a lot. It wasn't hard to make this. And I made the dog understand that she must fight, that she must protect herself and her owner if the situation calls for it. And I filmed this little scenario with my phone. And the amount of people, how many people shouldn't vote? It's amazing to me. Like the amount of people that actually looked at that and said, oh, this is happening for real. The homeless guy that is like, I'm pretending to be like a homeless guy, like panhandling aggressively at the car, right? So they thought the homeless guy's filming this dog and has like a YouTube account, which he like posted the video. The amount of people that just don't think things through, that don't look at my page, that don't say, oh, okay, this is Shield Canine. They train protection dogs. Oh, this must be a training scenario. Just commonsensical stuff to just put together and realize that, this is a training scenario with a dog that's being trained. Guess what? This bully is actually a very social dog. She's just able to switch and turn it on when she needs to turn it on, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. All right, let's see what else we got. Come on, man. Let's see what else we got. What happened to Mace has. Guys, how many of you guys keep asking me about Mace? You guys know I'm in the business of selling dogs. I train them and then I sell them. I don't keep them forever, right? The dog's been sold. I've said it 100 times. You guys look it up. You'll see. Oh, look at this. So this one, couldn't watch this video. Right out the gate, we hear blasphemy of the name of our Lord and God, Jesus Christ, taken in vain. Totally disregarding his second commandment. It's actually a curse against God and a grave sin against him. It does not take a minute to bleep it out before posting a video, so we are not subjected to this evil. Man, I got to get better at pastoring, right? I do happen to say Jesus Christ a lot. I don't know where I picked it up. I'm a Muslim, in case you know. And by the way, we as Muslims, we revere Jesus. We call him Isa, alayhi salam, actually. And he is by far the most mentioned prophet in the Quran. We revere him. We love him as a prophet. We're not confused about his divinity. We know that he was a man. But that being said, we got nothing against Jesus. I just say Jesus Christ a lot. It's just one of those things I say unconsciously. If it upset you, I'm sorry. But I dare say you spent a lot of time writing that comment. Maybe you should be doing something more productive, like watching that video and learning a little something about training dogs. Just saying. All right, let's see what we got. Someone asked here, is an e-collar the same as a shock collar? I know nothing about dogs, but it is used to shock the dog for negative reinforcement. So e-collars and shock collars are not different. Here's the thing. A shock collar is like, it's like a name that anti-e-collar people put on e-collars. E-collar stands for electric collar, okay? It doesn't actually work like a traditional electric shock, which is why we don't call them shock collars. They work like the Dr. Ho muscle relaxers, where they create tension and relaxation in the muscle, alternately, depending on if you're depressing or unpressing the button, right? So it's not actually an electric shock, because that would cause burns, which wouldn't be good. Do we use them for negative reinforcement? Yes, but you probably think of negative reinforcement as a correction or a punishment. Negative reinforcement is not a punishment. Negative reinforcement is reinforcement for specific behaviors, right? So like when you sit in your car and the car goes ding, 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 and you put your seatbelt on to make the annoying dinging stop, that's an example of negative reinforcement. It's annoying, it's uncomfortable, and it makes you perform the desired behavior. It's a very powerful tool in learning. You can use an e-collar also to punish a dog if you're so interested in doing something like that. Yeah, that's to answer your question in a nutshell. Let's see what else we got here. Where are we with time on this one? Where's my timer? 16 minutes. All right, we're going to do one more. Come on, guys. Give me a live one. Anything. So many positive comments. It's not a bad problem. How long was Kevin walking in that heat? I have Newfoundlands that walk in the sun with no water, which my Newf would struggle. Newfoundlands that was in the sun with no water, which my Newf would struggle with. Your Newfoundland would not struggle with it. I always take waters on walks too. Look. Sorry, guys, I lost the thread there. Yeah, look, I don't take walks on, take water on walks with my dog, especially if I'm going to be like a half hour. Again, you're not dealing with an orca that you're transporting from an aquarium to the sea or vice versa. The dog will survive without water just as you will. They don't need water. There was a fountain. He could have thrown himself into it if he really wanted to, which he didn't. It's just it's not necessary. A lot of people, like I said, a lot of you guys are very fragile. You're very weak people, mentally, physically, and you project that onto the dogs. The dogs aren't like that. If you allow a dog to be all it can be, if you allow a dog to be robust and strong, and you encourage them to be robust and strong both mentally and physically, they will be. They don't need you to truck in water along with them on a little half-hour walk. If I was going on a 3-hour walk with Kevin, would I be concerned about water? Yeah, probably. You know, he'd still be fine, but I probably would go out of my way to bring some water for him just so that he wouldn't be uncomfortable. A half-hour walk, Kevin was just fine. I'm so tired. There's so many people, they just project their weakness into the computer. They project their weakness onto everyone and everything else. That is probably one of the worst things I see people do to their dogs. You know, they're so mentally and physically fragile. They just assume the dog is the same. And they actually, by creating that expectation around their dog and everything the dog does with the environment and with social interactions, they create a weak dog. Guess what I do when I get these weak, fearful little messes in here for training? I make them strong. I make them confident. I help them become all they can be. I show them that they can handle stress. I know mommy's been teaching you can't, but believe me, you can. You can handle stress. You can handle social stress. You can handle environmental stress. This is why you guys looked at Kevin. You saw him in the beginning and you saw him at the end. The results speak for themselves. The dog doesn't lie. He's happy. He's happy. He's confident because we're allowing him to be all he can be. We're not talking about we're not trying to limit him and make him weak like we are, or, you know, coming up with like silly things like, oh, the rocks are hot or whatever else. Guys, it's not black asphalt with direct sun, it's concrete. Reach down, touch it. It's warm to the touch. It's not scorching hot. I don't know where y'all live, but here it's fine. If it was black asphalt with direct sun and it was like 30 degrees out, yeah, sure, we're gonna avoid that, but that's not what we were on. Let's see here. A lot of positivity. Let's see. A lot of positivity. Good stuff, you know. A lot of Kevin videos, you know, because they've all been like, oh, okay. So here's a good comment, and I think this is one that, you know, I'm gonna create some clarity on. I'm so confused as to how people could sell their adult dogs. I don't judge. I'm learning the working dog world, and I understand why things are the way they are. But I'm too simp to sell my dogs after years of being together. I guess that changes when you have so many dogs. It does change, right? It does change because I take the responsibility of a dog very seriously. But part of taking that responsibility seriously is understanding that I'm not always the best situation for a dog, right? I am a good situation for a working dog when I'm able to give my complete time, attention, and focus on that dog, because then that dog's going to get so much stimulation. That dog's going to be adequately and appropriately stimulated. That dog is going to have a ton of interaction. That dog's going to have a ton of attention, aka a good life. Lots of exercise, lots of drive satisfaction, so on and so forth. When I am not going to be, let's say, focusing on a dog because maybe it doesn't meet my standards from a working perspective, or maybe it just doesn't jive with a goal that I'm trying to accomplish, what's better? That dog to sit in my kennels and get some attention from me, or that dog to go to somebody and be his entire world, right? When I retired my last competition dog, Onyx, I knew I wasn't going to have time for him because I was focusing on his son, Gage. I promptly found him someone who literally spends every day with him, who does all sorts of cool things with him, who loves him to death, and who's a fantastic owner for that dog. I so like, you know, I think a lot of people, here's the thing. I think a lot of people are very, again, it comes down to being a bit of emotionally selfish, right? Oh, I love the dog and he loves me, therefore he couldn't love anyone else, and I can't give him up because I'm the best thing for him. No, I'm able to objectively look at the situation, apply logic and common sense to it, and say, what's actually best for this dog? To have some of me or to have all of someone else that really is going to be able to fulfill him in every way and make him the number one dog, right? So for me, I don't have like a unhealthy emotional attachment to my dog. I have a healthy attachment in that I understand that while that dog is with me, I am responsible for that dog's care, for that dog's, you know, mental and physical well-being, and I take that very seriously. And I don't just sell dogs to anybody. There's a lot of people that contact me for dogs. They don't get dogs from me. The second I sense a little crazy, the second I sense that it might not be a good situation for the dog, I'm out. I don't respond. I don't deal with them, so on and so forth, right? But I have no problem moving a dog on if that dog isn't the dog for me. So I like Yaxie a lot. I like him as a dog. I just don't think that his working characteristics are what I'm looking for in a competition dog. He's a little bit too calm, which is why I've decided I'm going to sell him as a protection dog, and I think he's going to make a fantastic protection dog for somebody. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up on that one. I hope you were entertained. Check out our online course at shieldk9online.com. I got a course for any problem you've got, and I look forward to seeing you on there. Shieldk9.ca. We got in-person training, dog training gear, so on and so forth. And until next time, I'll see you on the next one, guys.